As I lay on my deathbed, gravely ill, the crown prince personally journeyed to the Tian Shan mountains to gather snow lotus as the life-saving ingredient for my medicine. Everyone said the crown prince's love for me was as deep as the ocean. Yet, this very prince, whose love was supposedly so deep, was at this moment in the side hall, plotting with my eldest sister. After she dies, should we marry during the period of deep mourning, or wait another year to avoid any gossip before I enter the Eastern Palace? My eldest sister's delicate, trembling voice drifted over.
If people find out we replaced the snow lotus with poisonous spiritual viburnum to kill my sister, how could I go on living? And now I am carrying your child. What we did. We have wronged Qingyuan.
Do not fear. She only has herself to blame for shooting the white-faced fox at the selection banquet. That prey was meant to be yours. She is nothing but a thief who stole your position as the crown princess.
When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn back at the day of the selection banquet. The emperor's decree still echoed in my ears.
Whichever noble lady hunts the white-faced fox today shall become the crown princess.
Ahead, the white fox was near that old tree deep in the forest. With just one arrow, given my precision, I would surely hit it. The title of crown princess was within easy reach, but the agonizing, bone-piercing pain from my past life made me clench my teeth. In this life, I will never let myself become the crown princess again. I knew. My eldest sister was not far behind me. In my past life, I shot the white fox first to claim the title, which led to her and the crown prince poisoning me later on. They hated me to the bone, claiming that by shooting the white fox, I had prevented her from marrying into the Eastern Palace. So, they switched my medicine while I was gravely ill, leaving me to die with bitter resentment. What if, in this life, I let her become the crown princess, yet she is narrow-minded and cruel? The hatred from being poisoned in my past life is not something I can simply let go. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted someone galloping toward me from a distance. It was my eldest sister, Gu Yunmei, who had been trailing closely behind me. Pretending to be unaware, I suddenly cried out, "A white fox!" Then, with a slight tilt of my wrist, my arrow grazed the white fox, firmly embedding itself into the tree trunk behind it. "Get out of the way!" a sharp voice cried out. I dodged just in time as two arrows sliced through the air. One hit the white fox dead center, while the other missed, striking the leg of a rabbit next to the fox. I sighed with feigned regret. How could I have missed? The followers behind us had already burst into cheers.
Excellent archery.
A guard dismounted, picked up the white fox, and glanced at the fletching of the arrow. "The character Giyu is carved on it," he announced loudly.
The young lady of the Duke of Zhen's estate has hunted the white fox.
Gu Yunmei galloped over on her horse.
Sister, I am so sorry. The position of crown princess is mine.
Having said that, she galloped away, proud and ostentatious. At the hunting ground, the empress looked at the white fox presented before her. She nodded and smiled.
As expected of the young lady of the Duke of Zhen's estate. So skilled in riding and archery, a direct hit to the vitals and not even the fox's pelt was damaged.
She smiled warmly and reached her hand out to me.
Qingyuan, come here to me, now that you have hunted the white fox. I shall issue an imperial decree to announce to the world that you are to be crowned crown princess.
As soon as the empress spoke these words, the noble ladies present cast envious looks one after another. Gu Yunmei's eyes instantly welled with tears. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Crown Prince Xiao Cixi's face growing darker and darker. I stepped forward from the crowd. "Your Imperial Majesty, this white fox was not hunted by this subject. It was hunted by my elder sister, Gu Yunmei. I beg your majesty the empress to see clearly. The position of crown princess should belong to my elder sister. I dare not claim credit for it." Gu Yunmei immediately knelt down.
To report to your majesty the empress, the white fox was indeed hunted by this subject.
The crown prince's expression changed abruptly. He looked at me in disbelief.
Gu Qingyuan, how could it not be you who shot it? With your archery and horsemanship, how could you miss? Gu Qingyuan, what kind of trick are you playing?
Hearing that the white fox was shot by Gu Yunmei, the empress's expression also changed. Hearing the crown prince's words, Gu Yunmei looked at him with red, aggrieved eyes.
Does your highness not believe that Yunmei hunted it either?
The crown prince came to his senses.
How could that be? It was just a moment of pleasant surprise and disbelief. Yunmei, your archery has truly improved leaps and bounds.
The empress frowned, looking down at Gu Yunmei kneeling before her, and then turned her gaze to me.
Qingyuan, you are the legitimate daughter of the Duke of Gen. No one in the capital can match your skills in riding and archery. How could you lose?
This consort selection banquet was in name a hunt for the noble ladies to catch a fox, but many influential families had already received word. It was merely going through the motions. It was just to make my appointment as crown princess official in the capital, whose riding and archery skills could possibly surpass mine. But this time, I did not want to win. I raised my head. May your highness the empress forgive me. For some reason, my horse threw a fit today. It threw me off its back. My left shoulder was injured, and I couldn't exert any strength, but my elder sister's archery is superb. I, Qingyuan, accept my defeat wholeheartedly. Gu Yunmei stood beside the crown prince.
Your highness, are you not happy that I, Yunmei, hunted the white fox?
The crown prince said, gently.
Nonsense, I am very pleased. How did Qingyuan fall? Go quickly and see if Qingyuan is injured. If you are hurt, your father will blame me for not taking good care of you.
The empress's personal maid came forward to help me up to apply medicine. Gently lifting my clothes, she saw a patch of scrapes on my left shoulder, red, swollen, and striking. The maid gasped.
How did you fall so heavily?
After the medicine was applied, the maid nodded to the empress.
Qingyuan is the legitimate daughter of the Duke of State, and her riding and archery skills are superb. Her failure today was only because she was injured. This competition is unfair to her. How about we hold another competition after Qingyuan's injury heals?
Gu Yunmei's tears instantly rolled down like broken pearls.
Your highness, my sister is the legitimate daughter of the Duke of State's household. The position of crown princess should have been hers. Does it really matter if I was the one who hunted the white fox? In the end, the crown princess will still be Qingyuan, right?
As soon as these words were spoken, it immediately aroused resentment among the noble ladies. Everyone was competing fairly. Why should the empress favor the legitimate daughter of the Gu family so much?
This is unfair. Clearly, it was Gu Yunmei who hunted it. This is also the will of heaven. One must accept defeat. They calculated in their minds.
They would be unwilling to lose to any other noble lady, so they might as well let Gu Yunmei be the crown princess, a concubine's daughter whom everyone had always looked down upon. Even if she became the crown princess, what of it? The crown prince distressedly wiped away Gu Yunmei's tears. Holding her hand tightly, he stepped forward and looked directly at the empress.
Mother, the rules for the consort selection were set long ago. Everyone in the capital knows. Now that Yunmei has hunted the white fox, she is the crown princess. The emperor's word is final. How can it be changed? I love Yunmei, and I am willing to marry her as my crown princess.
Gu Yunmei blushed with shyness, lowered her eyes, and said,
I am willing to serve by the crown prince's side, never to leave or forsake him.
Looking at Gu Yunmei, the empress's face grew darker and darker. She had painstakingly planned for the crown prince, wanting him to marry me as his consort. From then on, the Duke of State's household would be his strongest backing. She never expected that her entire plan would be ruined by Gu Yunmei, a concubine's daughter.
Qingyuan, you and Seer have known each other since childhood. As childhood sweethearts, I know you must feel uncomfortable in your heart. I know of your affection for the crown prince. Although you were injured during the hunt and failed to get the white fox, I intend to bestow upon you the title of secondary consort. What do you think? What does it matter whether one is the primary consort or the secondary consort? It is merely for show. As long as you marry into the Eastern Palace, I guarantee that the one sitting in the position of the primary consort beside the crown prince in the future will definitely be you.
Gu Qingyuan, although mother has granted you the position of secondary consort, which is considered a concubine among the common people, you must know that you are marrying into the imperial family. A concubine of the imperial family is much more noble than the primary wife of an ordinary family. You will be the concubine of me, the crown prince of the Eastern Palace.
Your highness, say no more. My sister will be angry. She has been raised with great pampering since childhood. How could she be willing to be a concubine? How about I yield the position of primary consort to my sister? As long as I can accompany the crown prince, I do not care about the title.
Silly girl, the position of primary consort is what you deserve. Why should you yield, I have said? That I will make you the most noble woman in the Eastern Palace. The decree to appoint the crown princess will soon be delivered to the Duke of State's household. I will first take you to look at the items for the ceremony, as well as the crown princess's wedding gown, to see what patterns you like.
Having said that under the gaze of everyone, he swaggered off with Gu Yunmei. I beg your highness to withdraw the decree. My elder sister and I both come from the Duke of State's household. The daughters of the Gu family cannot marry into the Eastern Palace at the same time. Please forgive me, your highness.
What is the use of choosing a concubine's daughter from the duke's estate? Making a concubine's daughter the crown princess is an absolute laughingstock.
After the fox hunt ended, I boarded the carriage of the duke's estate to return home, but was stopped by the crown prince.
Qingyuan, I know you must feel resentful about being made a consort, but you should be content. Yunmei spoke very highly of you. She said that once she enters the Eastern Palace, she can let you manage the household. She has a gentle and soft nature. Unlike you, who are so decisive, I will ensure she only holds the title of crown princess, while you hold the actual power. You are the legitimate daughter of the Duke's estate, carefully groomed since childhood. Leaving the Eastern Palace in your hands gives me great peace of mind. There is just one matter. If you agree to it, then after you marry into the Eastern Palace, Yunmei said she will allow you to bear children.
Watching him shamelessly assume that I was desperate to marry him, I completely lost my patience. Your Highness, whoever said I wanted to marry you?
All right, I know you are angry. But as I said, as long as you agree to one condition, 3 days after the crown princess enters the palace, I will marry you. Yunmei is a concubine's daughter, so her dowry is modest. She fears being ridiculed when she enters the Eastern Palace. You are the legitimate daughter. If you transfer your dowry to her name, so she can enter the Eastern Palace with grand honor, I will ensure you smoothly become the crown prince's consort.
What did you say, Your Highness? Transfer my dowry to Gu Yunmei's name? He certainly has a wild imagination.
Sister, although I am a concubine's daughter, I am still a daughter of the Duke's estate. Now that I am to become the crown princess, I simply do not want to bring shame upon our family.
I will have the palace commissioner deliver my verbal decree to the Duke's estate, ordering them to treat the crown princess well and prepare her dowry properly.
Mother, the crown prince pitied my humble birth, which is why he asked the Duke's estate to prepare my dowry well. He suggested that my sister give her dowry to me first, so I can save face when entering the Eastern Palace. My sister is only a consort, so no one will care about the size of her dowry. Once we are in the Eastern Palace, whether the dowry is mine or hers, it will all be the same. After all, though I am a concubine's daughter, I am still father's child. Does father want the world to mock us for treating legitimate and concubine daughters unfairly?
Mother looked at her with disappointment. Only after a long silence did she speak.
Enough. You may leave now and prepare for your wedding in peace. Qingyuan, do you truly intend to become the crown prince's consort?
Do not worry, mother. I will not marry the crown prince. I do not even care to be the crown princess, let alone his consort. I rejected the empress's proposal to make me a consort, but I fear her majesty will not give up so easily.
The Duke's estate must not be dragged into the struggle for the throne. If we are to extricate ourselves, the only way is to betroth you to someone else. Before the imperial decree is issued, we must marry you off. If Gu Yunmei wishes to marry into the Eastern Palace, then let her. When the time comes, our estate will have our own explanation.
On the day of the crown prince's wedding, the entire city was adorned with red silk, and festive music filled the air.
Qingyuan, in 3 days, I will issue an imperial decree to name you my consort. As long as you are obedient, I will give you a grand wedding as well.
He looked toward Gu Yunmei's courtyard, where only 48 chests of dowry were displayed. His expression instantly darkened.
Is the Duke's estate trying to humiliate me? My crown princess has only 48 chests of dowry. This is outrageous.
Forgive me, Your Highness. Gu Yunmei is not my biological daughter. Now that she is getting married, preparing 48 dowry chests for her, is already treating her more than generously.
As soon as these words were spoken, the entire crowd erupted into whispers. The crown princess, Gu Yunmei, was actually not the biological daughter of the Duke of Gen. Gu Yunmei herself was still in the dark, unaware that she was not of her father's blood, but rather the posthumous child of her father's brother-in-arms. Back then, after her mother gave birth to her, seeing that she was a girl, she abandoned her and ran off with someone else. My father took pity on her, and since she was the flesh and blood of his fallen comrade, he brought her back to the Duke's manor. To the public, he claimed she was born to a concubine during his time at the border. My father had originally planned to prepare a dowry for her and find her a good family to marry into, which would have been a worthy tribute to his late comrade. But he never expected her ambition to be so grand that she would insist on marrying into the Eastern Palace and entangling herself in the vortex of palace struggles.
Nonsense. How can you say I am not your daughter? Just because I competed with Gu Qingyuan for the position of crown princess, is father so biased that he won't even acknowledge his own daughter? Let everyone see. Are father and mother not afraid of being ridiculed for treating the legitimate and concubine daughters unfairly?
The Duke and Duchess of Gen are truly heartless. Indeed, though a concubine daughter is not equal to a legitimate one, marrying out to become the crown princess still brings honor to the Duke's manor. How could they be so cruel?
What is the meaning of this, Duke? Are you trying to humiliate us?
Your Highness, you misunderstand. This old subject is deeply gratified. Now that I have raised my comrade's daughter to adulthood, I have not failed the bond of brotherhood. On the occasion of her marriage, I must allow her to pay respects to her biological father and learn of her true heritage. Though her father was a nobody, he was still a hero who died for his country. Does he not deserve to be called father by her? If Your Highness does not believe me, there are many present here who fought alongside me on the battlefield back then. Who can bear witness?
We can all bear witness. Back then, the crown princess was young, and we could not bear to let her know her true heritage. Now that she is grown and getting married, it is time she knew.
Today, I hand her over to Your Highness. From this day forward, she belongs to the Eastern Palace.
Lest others say that our Duke's manor is trying to cling to the powerful. Now that the crown princess is married, she no longer has any relation to our Duke's manor. Crown princess, I wish you and the crown prince a harmonious marriage and a long life together.
Only then did everyone understand, praising my father for his deep loyalty and righteousness in taking in his comrade's orphaned daughter and keeping her secret for over a decade. The crown prince's expression had already changed drastically. Though he favored Gu Yunmei, it was on the premise that she was the daughter of the Duke of Gen. He had thought that even though Gu Yunmei was a concubine daughter, she was still of the Duke's bloodline. But now, he is told that the woman he married was merely the daughter of an ordinary soldier.
Qingyuan, you knew about this too. Why didn't you tell us? If you had told us, how could things have come to this point?
I did know about this. But whether elder sister is a concubine or legitimate daughter, or whether she is a biological daughter of the Gu family, does not stop Your Highness from loving her. Your Highness loves elder sister for who she is, not for her background. Is that not so?
Duke, we and the Empress Mother have already discussed this. We wish to take Qingyuan as our consort. Qingyuan and we are childhood sweethearts. When the time comes, we will welcome her into the Eastern Palace with the rights of a primary wife. In 3 days, the imperial decree will arrive at the Duke's manor. The Duke of Gen should prepare well. Rest assured, once Qingyuan enters the Eastern Palace, we will certainly not fail her. In the future, it is not impossible for her to take the seat of the main palace.
Mind your words, Your Highness. Qingyuan has never agreed to be your consort.
Qingyuan, this is an imperial decree. Are you planning to defy it? I cannot.
I am already betrothed. How can a woman marry twice? Isn't your highness forcing me into an impossible position?
How could you be betrothed? Are you using this as an excuse to avoid entering the Eastern Palace? Qingyuan, have you learned to lie now as well?
Just then, a steady, deep voice came from outside the door.
Is your highness trying to steal the subject's wife? If word of this gets out, I fear it might tarnish your highness's reputation as a virtuous prince.
A man strode inside. He wore riding attire and looked travel-worn, clearly having just rushed back from the frontier without even having time to change his clothes. He was none other than Qin Porong, the general of agile cavalry, who had just returned in triumph. During my previous discussions with father, I knew we had to secure a betrothal before the empress and the crown prince could decree me as a consort. Father had gone to the general's estate overnight and finalized the marriage agreement with Qin Porong. Qin Porong was a commander, trained by father himself, now holding significant military power. He was a highly trusted minister before the emperor. Father had settled everything with him, but we did not expect him to arrive today to present the betrothal gifts.
I hope the Duke will forgive me. I went deep into the mountains to hunt a pair of wild geese. Seeing that the auspicious hour was approaching and fearing I would miss the time to present the gifts, I did not even have time to wash up before rushing straight over.
With a wave of his hand, a crowd of people playing gongs and drums followed him in, carrying countless betrothal gifts, crowding together with the crown prince's wedding procession.
Your highness also knows today is an auspicious day. My presentation of betrothal gifts to Qingyuan and the exchange of our birth charts and marriage contract are also set for today. It is indeed a wonderful coincidence.
Since when did you know Qingyuan? Why this sudden proposal? Did you and the Duke of Gen plan this on purpose?
Your highness, everyone knows that the eldest Miss Gu is the pearl of the capital. My mother has had her eye on this daughter-in-law for a long time. It was not easy to persuade my future mother-in-law to agree to let Qingyuan marry down to me. Your highness also knows Qingyuan's worth. A fine daughter is sought after by 100 families. It is just that your highness missed her. You cannot forbid this subject from marrying her, can you? The betrothal tokens between our families have already been exchanged, and the marriage is finalized. Today is merely a formality. Our wedding date is set for 1 month from now.
So you refused to marry me because of him? Gu Qingyuan, you have already been having a secret affair with him, but the one you clearly loved was me. Or is it because you cannot be the primary consort, so you are throwing a tantrum at me?
Your highness, Miss Gu and I have acted with complete propriety, strictly observing the rites. We followed the orders of our parents and the words of the matchmakers. How can you call this a secret affair? Must her reputation be ruined just because she does not marry the crown prince?
Your highness, the auspicious hour is approaching. You must quickly escort the crown princess back to the Eastern Palace. Any later, and I fear the emperor and empresses will send people to inquire.
Let's go back to the palace.
Gu Yunmei did not even have time to put on her bridal veil before she left the gates of the duke's estate and stepped into the bridal sedan. The crown prince's grand wedding became a laughingstock. The crown princess's meager 48 chests of dowry were carried into the Eastern Palace just like that. And the truth about the crown princess's birth spread throughout the capital overnight.
This empress painstakingly schemed for the crown prince, only for him to end up marrying a nobody. I said from the beginning that concubine-born daughters were not allowed to be selected, but the crown prince insisted on letting Gu Yunmei participate. In the end, she actually got chosen. If we had chosen a noble lady from a prestigious family as the crown princess, it would have been a great support for the crown prince. Now look at this. All our efforts have gone down the drain, and Gu Yunmei got all the benefits for nothing. I originally wanted Gu Qingyuan to take the position of side consort. Who would have thought that in such a short time, the Duke of Gen's estate would have already chosen a husband for her? They are to be married in a month. This is their way of preventing me from letting her marry into the Eastern Palace. What a Duke of Gen's estate! How dare they oppose me?
Your Highness, at the flower banquet that day, the crown princess shot the white fox. There was another person who also almost shot it, but the white fox got away in the end. And she only hunted a rabbit. But when she shot at the white fox, several noble ladies saw it. It was Song Jiyu, the legitimate daughter of General Pingxi. General Pingxi also holds military power. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Your Highness chose her as a side consort?
In the bridal chamber of the Eastern Palace, Gu Yunmei sat alone under the red candles, waiting for the crown prince, who never returned to the room.
The crown prince has urgent matters to discuss with his advisors. He asks the crown princess to rest first and not wait up for him.
On the crown prince's wedding night, the crown princess kept watch in an empty room alone. This was undoubtedly the crown prince's way of showing his dissatisfaction with the marriage. After one night, rumors spread through the palace like the wind. The next day, the crown prince returned to the room.
An epidemic suddenly broke out in Jiangnian. I had to discuss countermeasures with my advisors, which is why I missed our wedding night. Yunmei, you are my wife. You must always stand behind me and support me. Only this shows the grace of a primary consort.
Your Highness, you have no idea. At the banquet yesterday, that prince from the western regions made quite a fool of himself.
The empress looked at Gu Yunmei with a meaningful smile.
Crown Princess. Now that you hold the primary position in the Eastern Palace, you should also concern yourself with choosing side consorts for the Crown Prince. I have already given orders to host a flower pinning banquet in the palace in 7 days, inviting noble ladies into the palace to enjoy themselves. You will organize this event. You must select someone who pleases the crown prince. This is your responsibility as the primary consort. When the time comes, you should all come to the palace to play. The flowers in the imperial garden are all in bloom. They are at their most beautiful.
But I have only been in the Eastern Palace for 1 day, according to past customs. Isn't it forbidden for the crown prince to take concubines within 3 months of the crown princess entering the Eastern Palace?
Your Highness the Crown Princess, that applies to other crown princesses. According to the rules of every dynasty, which crown princess did not come from a noble family. She must be of legitimate birth. Now you, a daughter of a concubine, oh, that is not right. You, a common woman of unknown origin, have become the crown princess. Do you still expect to monopolize his favor? Don't you know that the crown prince's eldest son must be born from the womb of a noble lady?
Wen Yaoer's words deeply stung Gu Yunmei's heart. After leaving the empress's palace,
Your Highness, is what they said true? Must your eldest son be born to a legitimate daughter of a noble family?
Whether we have the eldest son is not important. You only need to know that I have you in my heart, and that is enough. Besides, once a woman gives birth, her figure loses its shape, and she is no longer beautiful. You care about beauty the most. If another woman bears the child, they will still call you mother.
Only a few days after the crown prince's wedding, the news that he was to select side consorts quickly spread among the noble circles. After all, it was the position of the crown prince's side consort. Many noble families with eligible daughters were eager to make a move. At the flower-pinning banquet, the empress invited all the noble ladies and titled wives. I entered the palace with my mother. From afar, I saw Gu Yunmei attending to the empress on her left and right. Dressed in the magnificent formal attire of the crown princess, she looked down upon the noble ladies below. My sister is the legitimate daughter of the Duke of Gen. So what? She still has to kneel and bow when she sees me.
The Gu family humiliated me with that dowry, but now I am the crown princess. You can only kneel at my feet. Sister has always had good taste. Why don't you go to the garden and pick some flowers for me so I can wear them in my hair?
Yes, crown princess. The empress looked over in our direction, seeing that my mother and the dowager lady of the general of chariots and cavalry's estate both looked displeased. She glared fiercely at the crown princess and then tried to smooth things over.
Young ladies, since you are all here, the flowers in the garden are blooming beautifully. Why don't you all go pick some that you like to wear in your hair? I shall reward the one who picks the most beautiful flower.
Ha ha ha.
I heard His Highness said that the eldest son of the Eastern Palace must be born to a noble-born daughter. The crown princess holds that title in name only.
Your Highness, are you just going to watch them bully me like this? You said that in your heart, you only love me. No matter what my status is, you will only love me. But now, only a few days after I married into the Eastern Palace, everything has changed. Is background really that important? Is it more important than your love for me?
Yunmei. I have told you before, no matter what your rank is, no one else can compare to you in my heart. Whether we have children or not does not matter. I am the crown prince of the Eastern Palace, and there are some things beyond my control. You will surely understand my position, won't you? Once I hold the ultimate power, Yunmei, you will surely be my empress. No one else can take your place.
I listened as the crown prince coaxed Gu Yunmei until her tears turned into smiles. In my past life, the crown prince married me and secured my father's support, yet he secretly carried on an affair with Gu Yunmei. After my father helped him secure his position as crown prince, he poisoned me to death for Gu Yunmei's sake. This time, he got the woman he wanted. But so what? Now, he has finally realized that power is far more important than Gu Yunmei. By marrying Gu Yunmei, who has absolutely nothing to offer, I would like to see how he will secure his position as crown prince in this lifetime. When the nobility marries, it is all about family background and connections. True love is utterly worthless. The flower pinning banquet was a great success. In the end, Song Jiyu and Wen Yaoer were chosen as the crown prince's secondary consorts. The crown prince also selected several lower-ranking consorts and ladies. All of a sudden, the inner court of the Eastern Palace was crowded with women. After the flower pinning banquet ended, the crown prince cornered me by the lake in the garden.
Qingyuan, you came too. Do you regret your decision now? If you change your mind, I can have mother title you as a secondary consort. What do you say?
Your Highness, I only accompanied my mother to the palace. I only attended the banquet to enjoy the lively atmosphere. I must congratulate Your Highness on winning your beauties.
I do not understand. Our marriage should have been a matter of course. Why did you end up becoming someone else's wife? Could it be that you are just as superficial as those power-hungry women? Did you throw a tantrum over a mere title, preferring to marry someone else rather than be my concubine?
The selection of the crown prince's consorts is decided by heaven's will. But Your Highness, was that white fox truly hunted by Gu Yunmei? Since when did my eldest sister become so skilled in archery? Did Your Highness never once doubt it? Your Highness is truly blinded by love. I heard that because the crown prince was taking secondary consorts and lower-ranking concubines, the Eastern Palace was bustling with activity every single day for a month. Gu Yunmei threw several tantrums, but it was all in vain. Meanwhile, the secret guards sent by the crown prince gathered information for him. They captured a guard from the hunting grounds. Before they could even apply torture, the guard broke down crying and confessed everything. He said that during the flower banquet, Gu Yunmei gave him 100 taels of silver to follow her into the forest. When they spotted the white fox, he shot and killed it on her behalf. The arrow engraved with the character, Gua, was the one he shot for Gu Yunmei.
A mere 100 taels of silver would make you commit a crime that could execute your entire clan. Speak the truth.
I used to be a guard at the Duke of Gen's estate. I was dismissed after neglecting my duties due to drinking. I got to know Gu Yunmei while I was at the estate. I have admired Gu Yunmei for a long time. She said if I did this for her, she would find a way to transfer me to the Eastern Palace, so we could see each other every day.
This is the crime of deceiving the emperor.
Your Highness, Your Highness. I am innocent. Your Highness, it is not like that. I didn't lie to you. I didn't lie to you. This guard is talking nonsense. I have absolutely nothing to do with him.
I haven't said a thing, yet you claim you have nothing to do with him. How did you know I was going to ask about your relationship with him? Gu Yunmei. To think that white fox, which should have been Gu Qingyuan's prey, was snatched away by your schemes. It is because of you that I couldn't make Qingyuan my crown princess. It is because of you that I am in such a passive position, without the support of the Duke of Gen in court. You wretched woman, you have ruined me.
Your Highness, I only wanted to be with you forever. Didn't you say that I was always your choice for crown princess? I only used these means to become the crown princess and to be with you forever. It was harmless, and it didn't hurt anyone, Your Highness.
Do you have any idea how difficult my position in court is right now? It is all thanks to you. I thought you were innocent and pitiful, but I never expected you were using me from the very beginning. You even resorted to such schemes to become the crown princess. Guards, drag Gu Yunmei away. Confine her to the inner courtyard, and do not let her out.
In this lifetime, because he lost my father's support, and because I married the general of agile cavalry, among the military commanders, the crown prince only had General Pingxi to rely on, and the military power in General Pingxi's hands was insignificant compared to my father and Qin Porong. A month later, Qin Porong and I held our grand wedding. The Duke of Gen was marrying off his daughter, and the general of agile cavalry was taking a wife. Almost all the nobility in court came to offer their congratulations. Even the emperor bestowed gifts to show his favor. The very next day, the imperial decree conferring upon me the title of second-class noble consort arrived at the general's estate. After Qin Porong and I were married, my father and Qin Porong were always at odds with the crown prince in court. Even if they didn't actively make things difficult for him, supporting him was absolutely out of the question. Facing a situation where several adult princes each had their own factions of support, the crown prince grew anxious and panicked, dreading that his position would be usurped. He tried everything to win over influential ministers in court, which only aroused the emperor's displeasure. Meanwhile, in the eastern palace, the crown princess was confined, and several side consorts and concubines were fighting for favor in the backyard, vying to see who could give birth to an heir first. Whoever succeeded would have a chance to replace the crown princess. Wen Yaoer, relying on her status as the empress's niece, took charge of the household affairs. After the crown princess was confined, already viewing herself as the crown princess, she secretly administered contraceptive drugs to several concubines and side consort song. However, when Yaoer's nanny was careless with the dosage, the dose was too strong, causing the newly pregnant Song Jiyu to suffer from severe abdominal pain. By the time the imperial physician rushed over, she was already bleeding. Once she was able to get out of bed, she took the guards from her family's dowry and stormed into side consort Wen's courtyard, smashing everything in sight. Finally, holding a steaming bowl of medicinal soup, she said,
"Since you made me lose my child, don't even think about having one yourself."
How dare you? The Empress is my aunt.
So what? You and I are side consorts of equal rank. Do you think I fear your Wen family?
A bowl of abortifacient was forced down her throat, destroying her fertility and shattering Wen Yaoer's dream of becoming empress. The Wen family demanded the Song family pay with a life, while the Song family demanded the crown prince divorce his wife, declaring that Song Jiyu would no longer be the crown prince's side consort. They accused the crown prince of favoring his cousin and tolerating her plot to harm the imperial offspring, allowing her to act lawlessly. The eastern palace was thrown into utter chaos. The two families took their dispute to the emperor. The emperor harshly reprimanded the crown prince.
You cannot even manage your own household. How do you expect to rule the empire in the future?
Drawing on the memories of my past life, I informed Qin Porong about the crown prince's embezzlement during the disaster relief in Jiangnan. My father and Qin Porong secretly gathered evidence of the crown prince's embezzlement in Jiangnan, along with proof of the Wen family's seizure of land and persecution of innocent citizens. A thick stack of memorials was presented to the emperor. With every piece of ironclad evidence, the emperor was absolutely furious. He immediately took swift and decisive action to arrest the crown prince, confining him to the eastern palace palace under the guard of the imperial army. Soon, the truth came to light, sparking public outrage. The emperor issued an imperial decree stripping the crown prince of his title, demoting him to a commoner, and exiling him to Yangzhou. He was forbidden from ever returning to the capital without an imperial summons. The day the deposed crown prince was exiled from the capital was the very day I entered the palace to receive my title. Qin Porong had achieved great military exploits. My father advised him to keep a low profile, to avoid drawing suspicion from having achievements that outshone the sovereign. He took the opportunity to petition the emperor, asking to credit his achievements to me, and requesting that I be bestowed the title of first-rank noble consort. The emperor was more than happy to oblige. Bestowing a title upon a woman was much easier than rewarding him directly. As I entered the palace today to receive my title, I saw him wearing wooden stocks, looking utterly wretched alongside a group of female relatives. It was the deposed crown prince, Xiao Ce, being escorted out. Qin Porong and I sat together in the carriage, watching the deposed crown prince being escorted out of the palace gates. As we passed by each other, Xiao Ce stared at the carriage heading toward the palace, his face filled with deep regret and remorse. But it was all too late. From this moment on, our paths in life would never cross again. As the carriage wheels rolled over the flagstones in front of the palace gates, my hand lifting the carriage curtain paused slightly. Xiao Ce wore heavy wooden stocks, his dark brown prison garb covered in dust and grime. The once high and mighty heir to the Eastern Palace now had disheveled hair and a sallow complexion, yet his eyes remained fixed intently on my carriage, seething with regret and venomous malice, along with a trace of desperate madness.
Qingyuan, don't look. He is not worth it.
I snapped out of my thoughts and turned to look at him. Today, he wore a deep purple official robe, his hair bound in a golden crown. His features were sharp and handsome, exuding an awe-inspiring aura forged on the battlefield. Yet, only when he looked at me did his eyes always hold an endless melting tenderness. I just feel that fate plays tricks on us. In my past life, I fought desperately to grasp the position of crown princess. In this life, I avoided it at all costs. Yet, it still became the turning point for everyone's destiny.
That is not your fault. It is because their greed was too great, and their ambition far exceeded their virtue, which led them to today's end.
Madam Gu, General Qin, His Majesty has been waiting in the hall for a long time.
Upon entering the Xuanzheng Hall, the emperor sat high upon his dragon throne, his expression calm and placid, showing no sign of his emotions. Qin Porong and I properly performed the formal 3 prostrations and 9 kowtows. The emperor smiled and had the attendant read the imperial decree.
Gu Qingyuan, you are indeed a daughter, raised by the Duke of Gen. Well, educated, sensible, and deeply understanding of the greater good. It is Qin Porong's good fortune to marry you.
This humble subject's wife is unworthy of such praise. We returned to the general's estate just as we entered the courtyard gates.
Madam, General, someone has arrived from the Duke of Gen's estate. They say the Duke and Madam request both of you to return to the estate immediately. There is an urgent matter to discuss.
My heart tightened. My father and mother were always composed. If it weren't for something major, they would never be in such a hurry to call us back at this moment. Qin Porong and I exchanged a look, both seeing a trace of gravity in each other's eyes. We immediately turned around, got back into the carriage, and hurried toward the Duke of Gen's estate. Upon arriving at the Duke of Gen's estate, we entered the inner courtyard. I saw my father and mother sitting in the main hall. Both of their faces looked extremely grim. Seeing us enter, my mother hurriedly stood up and took my hand, looking me up and down carefully. Only after confirming I was safe and sound did she let out a sigh of relief.
Qingyuan, something terrible has happened.
Mother, what happened?
The convoy escorting Xiao Ce was ambushed in the Black Pine Forest. Most of the officers and soldiers were killed or wounded, and Xiao Ce has vanished.
In my past life, although Xiao Ce ended up in a wretched state, but he also valued his life immensely and cared immensely about his reputation. How could he commit such a treasonous act as staging a prison break unless he has someone backing him up? And at a time like this, who else would risk everything to save him? Except the one in Chongxin Palace? Who else could it be? The Empress. Only the Empress would risk her life to protect her only son, and only the Empress could mobilize the hidden imperial guards in the palace to pull off a prison break.
Father-in-law, this is no small matter. Xiao Xi's escape, once the news reaches the capital, will surely send shockwaves through the court. We must report this to His Majesty immediately. At the same time, we must seal the city gates and search the entire city for Xiao Xi.
I will enter the palace to audience His Majesty right now. Porong, you must immediately mobilize the Imperial Guard under your command. Seal the 9 gates of the capital and strictly inspect everyone entering and leaving the city. Qingyuan, you stay here at the estate. Do not go anywhere. As for the guards at the estate, I will double their numbers. Nothing must go wrong.
Do not worry, father. Your daughter understands. But I knew very well in my heart that since Xiao Xie had escaped, he would definitely return for revenge, and this capital would soon be plunged into turmoil once again. By the 3rd day of the blockade of the capital's 9 gates, the search had yielded no progress. Xiao Xi seemed to have vanished into thin air. Even after searching every street and alley in the capital, not a single trace of him could be found.
General's Lady. Miss Song from the General of the West's estate has arrived. She says she wishes to see you.
I was slightly taken aback. Ever since the incident at the Eastern Palace and the Crown Prince's deposition, she, as his consort, should have been exiled along with him. It was the General of the West who pleaded desperately with the Emperor, stating that she had been harmed by Wen Yaoer, suffered a miscarriage that ruined her health, and had never participated in the Crown Prince's treasonous plots. Only then did he manage to clear her name from the registry of criminals and bring her back to the General's estate. She and I had never associated with each other. Why would she suddenly come to see me today? I looked at Qin Porong. He nodded slightly. Since she has come, and she has just left the Eastern Palace, perhaps she knows something we do not. I had the housekeeper invite Song Jiyu into the reception hall. Upon entering the reception hall, I saw Song Jiyu sitting on a chair. She was wearing a plain-colored dress. Compared to the high-spirited, legitimate daughter of the general's estate at the flower-pinning banquet, her eyes now held a touch of exhaustion and coldness.
Lady Gu.
Miss Song, there is no need for such formality. Please have a seat. Once the maid served the tea and withdrew, leaving only the 2 of us in the reception hall, Song Jiyu finally looked up at me and got straight to the point.
I came today to tell you about one thing. It concerns the Empress.
My heart stirred. Looking at her, I regained my composed and dignified demeanor. Miss Song, please elaborate.
The prison break was entirely arranged by the Empress. After the Crown Prince was deposed, the Empress secretly contacted the former guards of the Eastern Palace. She even used her own private wealth accumulated over the years to bribe the members of the escort convoy, setting up an ambush in the Black Pine Forest to rescue Xiao Xi. Furthermore, the Empress has hidden Xiao Xi in a secret chamber within Chongshin Palace. That secret chamber was built for the Empress by the late Emperor during his lifetime.
It is very well hidden.
Except for the Empress and her most trusted nanny, no one knows where the entrance is.
It is just as I suspected. Xiao Xie is indeed hidden in Chongshin Palace.
Lady Gu. Are you all right?
I am fine. Thank you for coming to tell me this today, Miss Song. There is no need for such grand thanks.
I did not do this for you. I did it for myself. They owe me, and I will demand it all back, piece by piece. I have said all that needs to be said. It is time for me to leave. Lady Gu, you must be careful.
After seeing Song Jiyu out, I immediately had someone call Qin Porong back. I recounted her words to him, word for word.
This Xiao Xi truly refuses to mend his ways. Do not worry, Qingyuan. I will never let him harm you in the slightest.
Now that we know his plan, we can prepare a countermeasure. However, we have no evidence, so we cannot report this to His Majesty, the Empress harboring the deposed crown princes. We cannot wait until he actually makes his move at the Mid-Autumn Palace feast to capture him.
No, since he wants to strike at the Mid-Autumn Palace feast. We will set a trap for him and let him walk right into it.
Over the next few days, the capital appeared calm on the surface, but undercurrents were already surging in the dark. Qin Porong quietly reported the news from Song Jiyu to the emperor. The emperor was furious upon hearing this, but he restrained his temper and did not alert the enemy immediately. He secretly issued a decree to Qin Porong, giving him full authority over the matter, ordering him to ensure that at the Mid-Autumn Palace feast, Xiao Xie and his accomplices would be captured in one fell swoop. On this day, I was watching the maids dry the sweet osmanthus flowers for the Mid-Autumn Festival in the courtyard when the housekeeper walked in hurriedly, holding a mud-stained letter in his hand.
My lady, someone known from the Ministry of Justice prison had a letter delivered. They said it is from Gu Yunmei to you. She said that once you read the letter, you will definitely go to see her.
I was slightly taken aback. Gu Yunmei, after she was abandoned in the Black Pine Forest, she was brought back to the capital by the escort team and locked up in the Ministry of Justice prison. These past few days, I had almost forgotten about her. Why would she suddenly write to me? I took the letter and opened it. The handwriting on it was crooked and messy. It was filled with repentance and pleas for mercy. She said she realized her mistakes. She wrote that she knows all of Xiao Xie's plans, as well as the evidence of the Empress and Xiao Xie's crimes. She begged me to visit her in prison. She will tell me everything. She only begged me to spare her life. I clutched the letter, my fingertips tightening slightly. In my past life, she knelt before my bed, calling me sister in that same pitiful manner, only to turn around and conspire with Xiao Xie to replace the life-saving snow lotus with a poisonous flower that killed me in this life. Now that she has ended up in this state, and now she comes begging me again. How could I ever believe her again? However, since she claims to hold evidence of Xiao Xie and the Empress's crimes, going to see if there is any truth to it might not be a bad idea. At dusk, Qin Porong returned to the manor. I showed him Gu Yunmei's letter and told him of my plan to visit her in the prison.
No. Xiao Xi's accomplices might be hiding there. I cannot let you take this risk.
Porong, I know you are worried about me. But Gu Yunmei has been by Xiao Xie's side for so long. She must know many things we don't. The evidence in her hands might be enough to directly convict Xiao Xie and the Empress.
Fine. I will go with you. But promise me, you must stay by my side and not take a single step away. Do not let yourself out of my sight for even a moment.
All right, I will do as you say. Early the next morning, Qin Porong and I took some guards and went to the Ministry of Justice prison. The prison was dark and damp, filled with the stench of mold and blood. The sound of dragging iron chains echoed continuously. The jailer led us to the innermost women's ward. Gu Yunmei was locked up here. Through the cold prison bars, I saw Gu Yunmei. She was wearing a prisoner's uniform. Her hair was disheveled, and her face was covered in dirt. She no longer looked anything like the crown princess of the Eastern Palace.
Sister Qingyuan, you've finally come to see me. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong.
You didn't ask me here just to babble nonsense, did you? You said in your letter that you have evidence of Xiao Xiao's and the Empress's crimes. Hand it over. Gu Yunmei's sobbing paused.
Sister, as long as you can get me out of here, I will tell you everything. I will tell you everything I know.
Tell us what you know first. If it is indeed useful, we will naturally plead for mercy on your behalf before His Majesty. But if you dare to play tricks, you can forget about ever leaving this prison for the rest of your life.
I'll speak. I'll tell you everything. Xiao Xi is indeed hiding in the secret chamber of Chongxin Palace. The entrance to the secret chamber is right under the bed in the Empress's bedchamber. Lift the bedboard, and there is a secret door. Go inside, and that is the secret chamber.
This was basically consistent with what Song Jiyu had told us. Just this? We already knew all of this. What exactly is the evidence of their crimes you spoke of?
I have the account book of his embezzlement of the Jiangnan disaster relief funds, as well as the dirty deeds he and the Empress committed back then to eliminate the other princes. I have evidence for all of it.
To think it would be this.
Where is the evidence?
The evidence was hidden by me in the bedchamber of the Eastern Palace. When I married into the palace, I secretly dug out a hidden compartment and hid it beneath the dressing table.
Gu Yunmei. Even at a time like this, you still want to lie to me?
Sister, I did not lie to you. Everything I said is true.
The Eastern Palace was sealed off by the Imperial Guard long ago. The inside and outside have been searched countless times. If there really were an account book and confession letters, how could they have gone undiscovered until now? You asked me here, not to give me any evidence at all. You wanted to use the opportunity of meeting me to have Xiaoxi's men make a move and abduct me. Am I right? Gu Yunmei's face instantly turned as pale as paper. Her body swayed violently, and she almost collapsed to the ground. She had not expected that I would see through her trick at a single glance. Just then, the sound of clashing weapons suddenly came from outside the prison, along with the loud shouts of the guards. Qin Porong's expression changed, and he immediately held me tightly in his arms.
Protect the madam, form a defensive circle.
Leaning against his chest, I listened to the sounds of fighting outside, yet there was not a single trace of fear in my heart. I had long anticipated that Gu Yunmei's request to see me harbored absolutely no good intentions. So before Qin Porong and I came here, we had already laid an inescapable dragnet, just waiting for Xiaoxi's men to walk right into the trap. Sure enough, in less than the time it takes to burn half an incense stick, the sounds of fighting outside died down.
General, all 12 of the attacking assassins have been captured. Not a single one escaped. They have already been interrogated. They are all former secret guards of the Eastern Palace, sent by Xiaoxi's order to abduct the madam.
Now what else do you have to say?
Haha. How am I inferior to you? Is it because I'm not the biological daughter of the Duke of Gen? Just because I'm the daughter of a concubine? Why?
I looked at her, looking so crazed and frantic. In my heart, I only felt she was ridiculous and pathetic. Gu Yunmei, you have never lost because of your birth. You lost because you always blame your misfortunes on others. That you ended up like this today is entirely your own doing. You can't blame anyone else. After this incident, Xiaoxi was already driven to desperation. At the Mid-Autumn Palace banquet, he would definitely risk everything and fight to the bitter end, and we only needed to wait for him to walk into our trap. The Mid-Autumn Palace banquet arrived as scheduled. The palace was decorated with lanterns and colored banners, with red silk everywhere, and the sound of music was endless. But beneath this scene of prosperity lay endless murderous intent. The empress sat beside the emperor, wearing her magnificent court attire, with a proper smile on her face. Yet deep in her eyes, there was a trace of tension and panic that was hard to detect. When her gaze swept over me, it carried a bone-chilling coldness, which she then quickly averted, pretending as if nothing were wrong while talking to the Empress Dowager beside her. Halfway through the palace banquet,
The emperor and his subjects share this joy. No need to be formal. Everyone, drink to your heart's content.
Long live the emperor.
just then, I saw the eunuch, Lu Chuan, holding a wine flagon, stepping forward with a submissive look to pour wine for the emperor, the Duke of Gen, and Qin Porong. My heart instantly leaped into my throat, and my fingertips tightened slightly. Qin Porong noticed my tension and gently held my hand under the table, giving me a reassuring look.
Liu Chuan, the wine in your hand smells quite fragrant. Why don't you taste it for us first?
Lu Chuan's body shook violently, and the wine flagon fell to the ground with a clatter, spilling the wine everywhere. It instantly corroded the red carpet on the floor, leaving black marks. Everyone was stunned.
Your Majesty, spare my life. It was the deposed crown prince, Xiaoxi, who forced me. He forced me.
Xiaoxi, you rebellious son. Now that things have come to this, are you still not going to show yourself?
As soon as the emperor finished speaking, the sound of clashing weapons suddenly came from outside the hall, along with shouts of battle. The empress's face turned pale instantly, her body shook violently, and she almost fell from her chair. The doors of the Hall of Supreme Harmony were kicked open. Xiao Ce, dressed in black and holding a long sword, rushed in with dozens of assassins, holding sharp weapons behind him.
Father, you are biased. The position of Crown Prince was originally mine. Today, I will take back what belongs to me.
Rebellious son, we did not treat you poorly. We made you the crown prince and taught you carefully. Yet you engaged in bribery and corruption, disregarding human life. Now you even dare to commit treason and regicide. We were truly blind to have made you the heir.
Ha 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 ha. Father, now you blame me? If Mother hadn't helped me back then, how could I have reached this point today? Mother arranged the prison break. Mother condoned the poisoning. Even for the rebellion, Mother helped me contact my former subordinates. If you want to blame someone, blame your dear Empress.
Sire, what nonsense are you talking about? When did I ever ask you to rebel? I saved you. I only wanted to save your life, so you could flee far away. How could you? How could you push all the blame onto me?
Is that not the case? If you hadn't insisted back then that I marry Gu Qingyuan, and insisted that I use the power of the Duke of Zhen's estate, how could I have been separated from Yunmei? If you hadn't bungled things, and let Gu Qingyuan ruin my position as crown prince, how would I have ended up in this state today? It is all your fault.
The Empress looked at the son she had risked her life to protect, who was actually shifting all the blame onto her. The color instantly drained from her face. Looking at Xiao Ce, her eyes were filled with utter despair and heartbreak. She suddenly burst into laughter, laughing so hard that tears streamed down her face.
Good, very good. I did so much for you. For your sake, I did not hesitate to risk my title as Empress and risk the lives of the entire Wen family to break you out of prison and save you. But in the end, you actually push all the blame onto me. Xiao Ce, I truly raised you in vain. Your Majesty, this subject partner admits her guilt. I should not have hidden this rebellious son, nor should I have helped him escape in a moment of foolishness. But as for the treason and regicide, this subject partner knew absolutely nothing about it. It was entirely Xiao Ce's own doing. Here are all the account books of his embezzlement of disaster relief funds, as well as all the correspondence proving he bribed guards and colluded with his faction. I hand them all over to your Majesty and beg your Majesty to investigate thoroughly.
You old hag, how dare you betray me? Gu Qingyuan, I am not resigned to this. If there is a next life, I will make sure you die a horrible death.
You won't have a next life?
This treasonous farce at the imperial banquet finally ended with Xiao Ce being captured on the spot. The assassins he brought were all executed, leaving no survivors. The deposed crown prince, Xiao Ce, committed treason and regicide, an unpardonable crime. He was bestowed a cup of poisoned wine to take his own life at the imperial clan court. The empress of the Wen clan hid the rebellious son and failed to report it. She was stripped of her title as empress, banished to the cold palace, and sentenced to life imprisonment, never to take a single step out of the cold palace. Wen Yaoer harmed the imperial offspring, a crime beyond redemption. She was bestowed a length of white silk to hang herself and atone for her crime. As for Gu Yunmei, though she participated in Xiao Ce's plot, she also indirectly exposed Xiao Ce's treasonous actions. She was spared the death penalty and exiled to Jing'an nunnery on the outskirts of the city to pray to Buddha for the rest of her life, never to take a single step out of the nunnery gates. Once the imperial decree was issued, the capital was shaken. This storm, which had lasted for so long, finally came to an end. On the day Xiao Ce took his own life, the sky was gloomy and a light rain was falling. I sat by the window, holding a cup of hot tea in my hands, but my heart felt no ripples at all. The blood feud from my past life was finally avenged in this life. The man who caused me to die with bitter resentment and the sister who stole my marriage and took my life had both received the punishment they deserved.
What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking that all of this is finally over.
Yes, it is over. From now on, no one will ever disturb us again. Qingyuan, for the rest of our lives, I will stay by your side and protect you. I will never let you suffer even the slightest grievance again.
All right. That winter, I became pregnant. The moment Qin Porong learned the news, this iron-blooded general who killed without blinking on the battlefield actually stood there, completely at a loss, with his eyes welling up with tears. He held me for a long time, unable to say a single word. Father and mother also came to the manor to see me every day, bringing me all kinds of delicious treats, their eyes full of joy as they looked at me. In the spring of the following year, I gave birth to a son. He was handsome and strong, with a loud, hearty cry. On the day the baby turned 1 month old, the manor hosted a full-month banquet. Relatives and friends from both the Duke of Zhen's estate and the General of Agile Cavalry's estate came, making it incredibly lively. The emperor also bestowed many gifts, bringing us the ultimate honor and supreme favor. At night, after the guests had dispersed, for the rest of our lives, across this vast land, the beloved wife returns in glory, blessed with peace year after year.